let's set up ready for preparing a Django project by creating a new virtual environment. Just a quick check before we start working. You will need Python installed. You will need some sort of development software. Here we're going to be utilizing Visual Studio Code. I will make the assumption that you've already practiced making virtual environments. Again, if you haven't done this before, do check out our guides on how to create a virtual environment for your particular operating system. Virtual environments are something of a mainstay in Python and Django development, so it's well worth your time just spending a little bit of time practicing and familiarizing yourself with starting, stopping, entering, exiting the virtual environment. It's always recommended to make notes, for example, the commands required to enter virtual environments and so on. I will try and guide you as we move along in the different tutorials where potentially you might want to make some notes. So I will make the assumption you are using Visual Studio Code. Now here I'm working on the MacBook, but that's kind of irrelevant. What I will show you generally will work on every single operating system, and I'll try and guide you where there may be some differences in usage depending on what operating system you're working with. So I've already created a folder on my desktop. I won't show you because it has other files, etc. on my desktop, but I've already created a folder on my desktop. So I need to go to the menu up the top. I realize you can't see that on mine, but you'll be able to select File and then Open Folder. So by doing this, you're going to essentially prepare the development environment here by opening a new folder so that you can start creating files and your virtual environment within that folder. So your whole project is going to be built in that folder. So create a folder, like I said, on the desktop or anywhere you want to put your folder. I'm not going to show you how to open a folder, but you'll need to select Open Folder, select that folder, and then that will appear on the left-hand side in Visual Studio Code. You might be asked about trust. I'm just going to press yes there. That shouldn't be a problem. So my folder that I created was called First Django Project. That was on my desktop. So whatever folder name you've given and selected, that should now appear up the top left here. It's well worth spending a little bit of time familiarizing yourself with the terminal because we are going to be writing quite a few different commands. So to open the terminal, if you move the mouse down to the bottom, you can't quite see on mine, just below where you can see on mine, you can drag up the terminal. Now the mouse should change to an up arrow and then you can select and drag up. So you can see that you can drag up this terminal here. Now if you can't find the terminal, if you go into the view option in the menu up the top here, you can select the terminal from the list. Notice that there is a shortcut key for this. It would depending on what operating system you're using, would depend on the shortcut, but it's well worth remembering that, maybe taking a note so that you can quickly access the terminal. So I'm going to use this shortcut to open and close quickly the terminal window. Okay, so you might want to just play around with the sizes here of the different windows. I'm just going to drag that across a little bit. So let's now build a virtual environment. Like I said, I am using Mac here, or the MacBook. You might be using Windows. It's going to be slightly different. So I will quickly guide you to save you a little bit of time going into those tutorials. Let me just show you on the Mac first. So I'm going to type in Python 3. And in actual fact, it's the same commands on Mac and Windows here. So Python 3 on the Windows. On a Windows machine, you might just need to type in Py, depending on how you've installed it. So Python 3, and then I'm going to use the M flag, venv, venv. So I'm basically just telling the terminal the fact that we want to run this as a piece of software, and then we're going to create a new folder. We're going to make a new folder here called venv. So you can change that, call it whatever you like, but I'm just going to call it venv. So that's going to build a virtual environment folder and everything inside of that. To briefly describe what's going on there, the Venv is making a separate environment in which we can develop. What you'll find is that it's copying across all the critical files and folders that are required in order to run Python in this virtual environment that we're building. So in order to actually work in this virtual environment that we've created, we are going to need to activate it, of course. So on the Mac, it's slightly different than Windows. So here on the Mac, I type in source, VENV, and then /bin. I'm using the tab button here, so I don't have to type in the whole command. And then I press A, then I press tab, and that just completes it for me. So you can see that here it indicates that I'm in the virtual environment. Now yours might look slightly different because I've removed all the initial components at the start of this command line here. I've done that. Maybe there's a separate tutorial for that. You'll find that on the YouTube channel. So you should have venv at the start here to indicate you are now in the virtual environment. If you're working on Windows, you just need to type in venv, and then you'll need the / and then script / and then activate. So that will be the command needed, activate. There we go. That will be the command on Windows.